Austin is out, and Colton is doubtful right now.
How do you feel about Kirby Adcock over there at the left guard spot?
Well, Kirby came in last week and did some good things. He's got to continue to get better, as we all do, and but he'll have his opportunities this week as he did last week.
You're going into the Texas High School Sports Hall of Fame next year. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, obviously very honored, and there's so many people along the way that you want to thank, and a lot of great players I've been around and great coaches that helped get to that point. So it was a great honor. I got the phone call about 3 weeks ago and was very flattered.
What's the situation with Shane Clinton? He was in camp. He was running with the first group in spring too. We haven't seen him.
Yeah, he's number 2 on our depth chart right now, and has worked some guard, working center as well, and so he's just ready for that opportunity.
Is it just other guys passing him up?
Yeah, right now, that's kind of where we're at with it, and but he continues to battle and get better every day.
It's kind of an off-the-wall question, but you guys always play music, and a lot of research says it gives you a little pep. Some coaches don't. I think Nick doesn't play music as practices. What's your thoughts behind playing music? Some coaches think it's a distraction. Some people think it gives you a little energy.
I think it's just to each its own. It's whatever you like and whatever you feel like get your kids going. And we've been playing music for I don't know how many years, but it's always added a little bit of different breaks the monotony at practice at times, and always got some type of noise in the background. But we did it at Clemson, we did it. We've done it everywhere we've ever been.
Who's your offensive captain this week?
C.J. O'Grady.
Are you getting close to making a permanent one at this point?
Yeah, we will. Probably at some point in November, we'll let the team vote on those. Who will be the permanent guys.
I don't know if you noticed this on the game day, but I guess Alabama got these new LED lights. They were watching the game the other night. The fans are going crazy, and the crowd seemed to really get into it. Is that something you noticed? Does that make the atmosphere even tougher there?
Well, I don't. I think the opponents quite the challenge themselves, but I don't know. Lights are lights in my opinion, but I watched the game the other night, and I think it's got a lot of cool game day features to it, and I'm sure that their fans are excited about it.
But your own quarterback situation, keeping it under your hat, I guess.
Yeah, they're competing. Obviously, we want to just kind of see where these guys are as the week continues to progress. But again, we had a good day yesterday, and we'll keep pushing today.
Madison, you told him Friday that he was going to start. That kind of plan this week will tell whoever he started on Friday.
Yeah, more than likely, but we'll see how it goes through the course of the week, and just kind of where we are as an offensive unit.
With CJ, why did you name the captain this week?
Well, when you turn the tape on, this guy makes plays all over the field, and I think he's earned that and deserves that.
Been to Tuscaloosa?
I have not. This will be my first.
CJ's tied the school record for touchdowns by a tight end. Is that not a surprise, really?
It really isn't. Just an unbelievable talent. A guy that continues to get better. Really challenged CJ over the last year and a half of how good can he be, how good does he want to be, and I think he's doing a really good job of pushing himself as we're continuing to grow.
You guys working Trey Lakes on the Wildcat.
Welcome in. It's on the Hill with Pat Chicken Sports Talk Radio, coming to you live each and every day here on KDSJ 479. And we let you hear audio from our media availability with Coach Chad Morris yesterday to preview this upcoming ball game versus the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide as they travel to Tuscaloosa, Bryant-Denny Stadium. Kickoff 6 p.m. Saturday night. It's going to be quite the ball game, quite the the task, quite a tall task today, and I'm telling you, this is what we're gonna do. I'm still fired up for Monday, guys. I was so excited about the response we got. We're gonna open up the phone lines once again today. So at the 1:15 hour, if you have anything you want to chime in and talk to us about, myself and Demetrius, you can do so. Starting at the 1:15, we're opening up the entire hour for your phone calls. What's the state of the Arkansas football program? Is it time to make a change at the top? Is Chad required to make some changes on his staff? What else going to be taking place? Are you discouraged by a lot of the decommitments out of this Diamond Gang 2020 class? I mean, just let us know what you can do. What can Arkansas do to get up out of this rut that they're in and have been in for multiple years? You can do so by calling us at 479-601-7400. We'll get you into today's show, and we definitely want to hear from you. I want to go over real quick to my producer. We talked to Cy a couple of days from North Little Rock. He called in, and Cy had some great points, some really great points. Talked about the quarterback situation, and I just saw from Ronnie Cecil Wells. He chimed in on our Facebook Live stream, and he said, "Put KJ in." Is it time? I think it's time. Maybe not this week. I wouldn't put him in this week. Now, I'm not saying that to be scared, but you don't want to burn a red shirt. Because if he plays 5 games, you lose that red shirt year. And I just think KJ Hill is going to be the future here at Arkansas. So you wait until next week, give him 4 games. That way he still gets his red shirt. You get a lot of film that you can take back in the offseason and really hone in a lot of the offensive game plans, find out what KJ's really good at, and really make that a strength of this football team. Because, I mean, with the weapons that he's going to be having, we like to call them toys to play with, like the Hudson Henrys, Burks, Knox, Woods, Corlin Jackson, Spivey. Traylon Smith is going to be a running back. I think everybody's going to really have to keep an eye on the grad transfer from Arizona State. That's going to be real, real big. What else? What else are we looking for? The last 5 games that you're personally looking for, Demetrius. I'm looking for the youth movement. I want to see guys that are going to be counted on for years on down the road here at the University of Arkansas after this week. Starting the Mississippi State game, I want to see guys get in like Catalon, like Hudson Henry. I want to see what Eric Gregory's going to look like. KJ, you want to see what he's going to look like. Things of that nature. That's what I'm going to be honing in on myself.
Yeah, you keep looking at the players, but I want to take the time to look at the coaching staff and what they do.
I'm not going to look at coach because I think some of them are going to be gone.
Exactly.
I'm residing to the fact that someone's going to be gone.
That's the exact reason why you should be looking. And I'm not talking about all the coaches. I'm specifically talking about Chad. These next 4 games or next 5 games, I want to see how Chad takes control of this team. If he knows he's going to be cutting some ties with some coaches next year, Chad has to take more control over the team and be a dominant leader. He has to take control over the offense. If he knows Craddock isn't going to be there, he needs to start putting his emphasis and input on what goes on to the play calling and what goes on with the scheming of the game.
Right.
I want to see Chad be the head honcho. I don't see Chad make those outbursts when things go wrong, like a Nick Saban, like a Dabo Swinney, like even like a Gus Malzahn. When things go wrong, you see sporadic emotion. You see control. You see the head coach be the head coach. I have not seen a head coach moment in Chad Morris these 2 years. I haven't seen a moment where Chad calls the team and he sparks the team. I know people talk about player-driven teams, but one thing people talk about Ed Orgeron is Ed Orgeron can get his team fired up week in and week out. I want to see Chad take more control of this team, energize this team, show that these players really want to play for him and lead this team like he's supposed to.
I agree with all things you said. I really think, like I said, you want to see an infusion of more accountability, I think, and it comes from the top where coaches continue to coach. If you make a mistake, I want to see some of that displeasure. I mean, I think should be expressed. But we're going to take a real quick break, and then we're going to open up these phone lines and let you guys tell us what you want to tell us, your thoughts, and we'll chime in and give you what we think as well. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
Offense, I think this is the most explosive I've ever seen him. So that's what I've been saying over the last few years from him.
Is that mostly because of the receivers?
Most of the receivers. I mean, you can't sleep on their running backs. still the old traditional Alabama at running backs, big, strong, physical. So we're gonna get a bit of both.
Little opportunity though with Mac Jones instead of Tua. What do you see from him?
Without Tua, that's a big difference. Obviously in their passing game. So to me, we feel like we just want to get a lot of pressure in front of Mac Jones' face, make him uncomfortable, get him off the spot. I feel like if we do that, we'll have a chance, just to compete. And you never know at the end what'll happen.
John, what's some of the things that Chief has said to motivate you guys in the face of the way the season is going?
Chief, he just was telling us about in the past, when he faced, the #1 Alabama team, and when he was at LSU, just try to motivate us. Like he just keep it real, just tell us it's gonna be a dogfight, which I obviously know that with experience, but just to rally the younger guys who don't, know what they're about to get themselves into.
What about this quarterback? Tua's not going to be back there.
Obviously Mac Jones is a decent quarterback. He running with the 2 deep and he playing at Alabama, but can't sleep on him. I watched him over the years. He got some experience under his belt. I'm pretty sure they're going to do a good job to get him ready to play against us. So we just got to go out there and execute the game plan.
What do y'all need to do to get this season turned back around? Get some wins on you.
Trust in the process. Obviously we got a lot of young guys that's playing. They building on experience as we on a run. Like I said in the past, I've been in their shoes and I know how it feels. And you're not gonna turn it around and overnight. It takes some time. It takes process. I feel like as a freshman, you got to put in more than what the coaches give you. So that's basically what I'm trying to get these young guys to understand. It's not just getting the game plan. Just looking at it here. You got to go on and beyond.
Welcome back. It's our Thursday edition of OTH here on KDSJ 479, and we let you hear audio from our media availability this week with senior inside linebacker Dijon Harris. He previewed the Alabama game, things that they have to do, putting pressure on the backup quarterback. It's going to be one of them, and I think they're going to really have to get a lot of pressure on it because I'm still of the belief this is the #1 ranked team in all of college football, but I still, when I watch this Alabama team, they don't have the awe factor that I've seen with so many of the previous Alabama ranked #1 teams in the country. Just seems to have just a little bit different feel to it, and I feel like with Tua being out, this has got to be Arkansas's best chance. I'm not going to pick Arkansas to win. That's make no bones about that. I'm not going to do that, but I think Arkansas can keep it under. I think it's 30 right now, 31.5 point spread. I don't think that Alabama will cover that big of a spread. I do think they're going to win the ball game, but I think this game's going to be a lot closer, or has the potential to be a lot closer. But with all that being said, Arkansas is going to have to really be disruptive, get Matt uncomfortable back there behind center for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and somehow you got to create some turnovers. This is going to have to be a team that's going to have to create at least 3 or more turnovers to have even a snowball's chance to win this game. And I'm just going to be honest with you. You can call it for what you want. I'm just going to be honest. I think this is one of the daunting tasks, even with this Alabama team not being as strong as they have been over times that I've covered them at the games here at Razorback Stadium or at watching the games on there at Bryant-Denny. Just it's going to be tough. And, I think right now it's about a youth movement. And I agree with what Demetrius said. I think Coach Morris has to be more active in the play calling duties. I think that's, because that's what he's known for. He's known to be a very innovative play caller. And I just think, right now, the play calling has a lot to be desired. I think it's a very vanilla playbook that I see at times. There's not enough aggression, and the playmakers. There's so many playmakers. You have so many toys to play with. I don't think everyone's getting the ball, and I feel like you have to create an offense that's going to excite the players. They're going to be excited to play it in that offensive system, and that's by sharing the football. Is what I'm starting to see. But Demetrius, what are you starting to see? How about if you do say you do lose Craddock? What do you do? Do you go out and get an experienced offensive coordinator, or do you more so look for an offensive coordinator, young and up and coming, but also has a kind of familiarity with the SEC and the South in particular?
Neither. I go get me a quarterbacks coach and make Chad run this offense. One of the first things that I said when Chad Morris first got to Arkansas, I said, man, if he's going to be the offensive guru that people say he is, he's going to have to be the guy that keeps his job. Okay? What I meant by that is he's going to have to be the conductor of that offense.
Right.
he does not have the luxury to go get an offensive coordinator to do the things that he wants.
Right.
Chad has to take more control, and that's why I say specifically, go get your quarterbacks coach, go get you somebody that can manage the offense, but you have to be the offensive coordinator and head coach until the ship is right where it needs to be. Until we get that consistency where we have all the weapons, all the pieces, all the players that Chad knows we need to be successful, to where he can hand the keys down to somebody to just make sure it's a well-oiled machine. But until then, I think Chad has to make tough decisions, because right now he has to use creativity. He has to use his IQ of what the defense is giving him, and he has to build around the players that he has. And I don't think a new coordinator can come in and do the things that Chad really wants to get accomplished as fast as he needs to get accomplished. Because you got to think, you bring a new coordinator in here next year, you only have 1 year to get this thing right. You can't afford another bad year, and that's why I say Chad has to put this team on his back.
See, I think, in my humble opinion, I think Chad has to take a page out of the Dabo Sweeney page book. You know, when Dabo came in and hired Chad, Dabo was coming off a 6 and 7 year. A lot of people down there in Clemson, South Carolina, were calling for his job, you know, for him to be fired. He went out and got a very innovative, up-and-coming offensive coordinator and entrusted him to create an offense that would be fun to play in. And I think that's what he went out and did. And I'm looking at, you know, if it's me, I'm going to make a call to SMU and ask to speak with Rhett Lashley. I think with Rhett's background coaching at Auburn, really familiar with a lot of the SEC defenses, especially in the SEC West, having learned the offensive system under Coach Gus Malzahn. He's the first call I make, and he's a Northwest Arkansas guy. He understands the University of Arkansas, having played here briefly. He understands, you know, the level that you have to get to. And I think watching him coach at Auburn and at Sanford when he was offense coordinator just a while back before taking the SMU job, Rhett has a little fire to him. Also, if you don't make that call to Rhett, I'm going to the New York Jets, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of openings, coaches available. I try to ask to speak with Dow Loggins, the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach there with the New York Jets. I think this is a guy was a walk-on at the University of Arkansas, played at Arkansas during the Houston Nut area. So he's another young man that I really feel could come in here and understand the culture of the SEC West and really understand Arkansas football, but bring a different approach to the offensive game and have kind of a better understanding of when you have big receivers like Traylon and Trey and Mike Woods and very adequate tight ends. I think he could bring a whole new system, because sometimes, you know, in a way, I think this needs to be changed. You got to change your offense, because this seems to be an offense that we're not in high school anymore. And I think sometimes this staff schemes way too much rather than, hey, sometimes you got to scratch the playbook and let your players play football. And I think that's what needs to happen a lot more of here at Arkansas is players need to play and make plays, but be free in making those plays. Too much schematics go on with this system that I see. I mean, that's just from my vantage point the last 2 years. Let you guys get after it. Let you guys make plays, Demetrius. I mean, if you got Traylon Burks, let him make a play. You know, Traylon shouldn't have to go most of the whole game on Saturday versus Auburn and not have a lot of targets. Trey Knox. I mean, these are guys that need to be targeted. Cheyenne O'Grady at least 7 to 10 times each. These guys should be targeted. Mike Woods comes to mind. He's another young man that's had a pretty adequate season that needs to get the ball. It's just, there's just so many playmakers on that football field. And it's kind of head-scratching when these guys aren't involved. Traylon Burks would never come off the field if I were the offensive coordinator at the University of Arkansas on third down. He, Trey Knox, and Mike Woods and Cheyenne O'Grady this season would always be the package that I would use each and every day and twice on Sundays when it's third down conversions, because those are your playmakers. I'd like to see a little bit more of Carlin Jackson. I think he's a guy that could eventually, if given the opportunity and given the amount of reps that he needs, could make a real impact with this football team. It's just so many variables on this football team, and I think, when you look at this team, a lot of the younger players that should play like KJ. KJ has to be on the field before the end of this year. I mean, it's no ifs or bones about it. KJ, without a shadow of a doubt, has to play, as does I'd like to see Hudson Henry, because what are you getting with Grayson Gunner? What are you getting with Chase Harrell? You're getting nothing. Offensive staff, you're getting nothing. And I'm not to disrespect those young men, because I'm pretty sure they're great individuals, great fathers. I know Chase has a a young baby, you know, and I'm pretty sure he's the best dad in the world. But we're talking about producing on the football field for a program that needs to find playmakers and production because it's at the bottom of the barrel. I mean, Chad spoke, and I totally wholeheartedly agree. They are in the corner of all corners in the SEC, and they're going to have to fight their way out. And the only way they're going to fight their way out is start to play players that are here to make plays. And they do have talent. I'm not going to say it's for a lack of talent because there's some talent over in that building. It just needs to have a chance to come to fruition and prove itself on the football field, not just in practice.
But Pat, I agree that, you know, Chad probably should go get somebody else to run that so that he can focus on being head coach. But what I'm saying is I don't think Chad has the luxury of time because even if you go get you a new offensive coordinator, it's going to take him time to adjust with what Arkansas has. And then if Arkansas doesn't turn around and produce with the numbers and the type of production that people feel, the fans feel, 100-year check, it's still gonna be on Chad's fault. You know, it's still gonna rest at his feet. And that's why I say Chad has to go get a guy that he can put in position to run it, but Chad has to make those final yeses and nos because I think next year is gonna be a final yes or no season. And I think if I'm gonna go out shooting, I'm gonna go out shooting the way I want to. I'm not gonna put my longevity in the hands of another coach to make sure he produces. And I was listening to a couple of stats yesterday, and I do see the offense has improved in every facet. I'm talking about from sacks given up, from yards allowed. So the offense has improved, but I think with the leadership as far as coaching ability and the coaching calls made in crucial times is what really lost us some games. I don't necessarily think it's all about play calling that led to this, 2 and whatever record that we have right now. We're 2-5 right now.
Right.
It's 2-5 right now. I don't think it was strictly offense. I think it was just decisions throughout the game that led people to get in better position in Arkansas. And I think, again, I still think it boils down to Chad understanding and pulling up his britches and saying, hey, I'm the captain of the ship and we're going to run it how I want to. I don't care what any other coach thinks. We're going to do it my way and we're going to do it the way I want it done until the way I want it done. And I think that's the best way. If you're going to be on the hot seat, you want to take all the responsibility.
I think we might have a caller, so we're not going to take a break. Who we got?
That's good.
Well, let's talk a little bit about it, my man. I think this is Greg Thomas from Plano, former Arkansas Razorback quarterback. Greg, I want to get off into it with you. Good. Thanks for and thanks for calling here at OTH. But give me your thoughts on the state of the Razorback program right now and as we know it.
We're struggling right now. I do believe the boys are playing as hard as they can. Just trying to overcome a whole bunch of stuff. I think they're just lacking confidence. We're there, but we got to be able to make plays, and we haven't been able to make those plays that make the difference in the games we've lost.
When you look at the quarterback situation, Greg, you hear so many times Chad and that staff have said, the KJ Hills, the John Stephen Jones is, in particular KJ, just not ready, don't want to put a freshman out in a situation for the simple fact, may lose confidence. I'm of the belief that when a coach goes out and he hires and he recruits a young man to make a grown-up decision as an 18-year-old or 17-year-old to go however many miles or hours away from home, I think once that young man makes that decision and comes to that campus, he should be treated as such, a grown man. And I'm of the belief the best player plays. Is that something, am I wrong for feeling that, Greg?
They're playing freshman quarterbacks everywhere else in the conference.
Absolutely. I mean,
and honestly, they're with the boys. They know they can and can't handle it. But if we're in a situation where we're behind the 8 ball all the time, you might as well get some experience. And I am of the thought process right now with either Jones or Jefferson. We don't need to play them against Alabama,
right?
Because that's almost a suicide mission right there.
Right.
They'll make some plays, but they gonna get hit with things they probably haven't seen, and we haven't been able to duplicate on the defensive end of practice. But it still have the 4 games after that,
right?
And even with playing Mississippi State not going to be easy. LSU is going to be a bunch of dogs coming too. So you don't want to put them in a situation where they get hurt, but we got to figure out what we got.
Right.
If we don't have an opportunity to play in the bowl season anyway, and it doesn't violate the new rule in terms of the 4 games redshirt, or Luke Jones going out there and playing, but we got to see what we got. And right now, with all the brothers that played up there, I'm talking about former players. I'm not talking about anything but that. We're frustrated too.
Right.
And we know the kids are frustrated. And social media is not helping. Everyone has an opinion. And, and those kids are seeing that. And now we're losing young folks. So might as well start playing them, give them some experience, and go from there.
What do you think the biggest problem is for Coach Morris, in year 2? Your own personal opinion. I'm of the belief that maybe there needs to be a change at the OC position. I mean, it comes down to production. And, when you look at the quarterback play, the footwork, and just certain little nuances, you just don't see the type of development that you would hope. Is that, in your opinion, GT, what needs to happen to get this program? Because Chad made a statement on Monday that they're backed in the corner and the only way they're going to get out is fight their way out. How can this program fight its way out of this situation? Because, let's face it, out of 14 programs, this has to be ranked the 14th best program in the SEC to this date.
Oh, man. Number one, you got to get all the coaches on the same page.
Right.
Because it seems like the turmoil is being played out in public. So if the coach is not all together, there's no way possible you're going to get all 85 young men together.
Right.
And that's an in-house attitude.
Right.
It's us against the world anyway, every time. And that's the way your team has to take that approach. And then you find 25 guys that want to come out there and fight their ass off, and then you go from there. It takes 11. If you got to play 22, 17 that wants to fight, let's go. But everyone got to be pulling in the same direction. And I'm not sure that's taking place right now because everyone being pulled. Everyone being pulled in a different direction. Everyone got someone in the ear, mom in the ear, cousin in the ear, girlfriend in the ear, radio in the ear. And they're getting frustrated and they don't know any other way. That's what it seems like to me. And I'm only 400 miles away.
We're talking with Greg Thomas, former Arkansas Razorback. He's in the Plano, Texas area, and a high school football coach, which leads me to my next question, Greg. I've known you for quite a while, and you've always been a big proponent of trying to help Texas kids come to your alma mater, which is the University of Arkansas. Rewind several years ago, I remember this as if it was yesterday. Durham, the linebacker there at Texas A&M, was a young man that you had direct connection to, and you made the attempt to, introduce him and make Arkansas aware of Coach Bielema and that staff. When coaches when they make recruiting mistakes, as Brett made quite a few, that staff, that's real hard to come back from, isn't it? Do you attribute a little bit of Arkansas's problems to how many mistakes they did make in the recruiting process?
Well, every coach has their recruiting philosophy. And sometimes their recruiting philosophy is not to allow certain people from within the program to have certain access.
Right.
That's the player, because then they can't, or they feel like they can't control it. And, sometimes that may be the case. I don't know too many of us that are from the Hill wants ill will on our program.
Right.
So when I bring you the number one linebacker in the state of Texas 2 years in a row, and you don't recruit him, that tells me that your mind is not on trying to win either.
Right.
We put 14 guys in the NFL here in the last 10 years from Plano East. We've only seriously recruited one of them. That was Hines. And I told Bill you don't have a chance to get Hines if you don't get Landis.
Right.
So that's frustrating. to see it. And I know we lost another one this past year. They're down at UT as a freshman right now that was waiting to get an opportunity to come up there.
Right.
And so that's just one isolated incident. We have players all over this daggum nation that wants players to come up there. We want them from within the state of Arkansas.
Well, Greg, I hate to cut you off.
Our program.
I hate to cut you off, but this phone is ringing hot, and I think we got another caller coming in with their opinion. Hey, my man, thanks for taking time out here, my man.
Yes, sir.
You're on the hill. Who we got?
This is Todd, man, from Little Rock, man. What's going on, man?
Hey, Todd from Little Rock. What's on your mind? Share it with us.
Well, two things. You remember we had this conversation before, I believe, last year. I mean, not last year, this summer, about the football program and stuff. And remember, I made that analogy to you that if you can change the color of a car, you can change the interior of your car.
Right.
If that engine is still messed up, it ain't gonna run any better.
Right.
And there are several issues with it. One, I think the University of Arkansas, the administration, has done a horrible job in hiring coaches. One, you hire, for example, you hire Bobby Petrino, who runs a pro wide open style offense.
Right.
Then you go and hire Bobby Petrino, who runs a bully offense after he. And so now you're having to recruit a whole different style of offense for him. Then you bring in another coach who runs a spread offense.
Right.
So now you know there's no identity with the program, and then on top of that, we've gotten so far behind in recruiting. I don't know how we're going to catch up because part of this issue is coaching, but the only way to correct the issues now is to have good recruiting classes, and then now we're losing them.
Right.
So. This is as bad as the last few years is as bad as I've ever seen Arkansas football. I'm gonna be honest with you. We've always been able to compete, you know, and even come up with a surprising win here or there. Right now, we're the stepping stone of the SEC, man. Teams look at us, they look at us. That's an automatic win.
And I want to also ask a question. If you look at this team, position by position, Todd, which position do you see when you analyze it that is the least SEC ready as far as this program goes?
Oh wow, it's a lot. But I would start with the most important is the offensive line. It seems that our quarterback, even when we're playing subpar teams, we can't. I mean, they get too much pressure on our quarterback.
Right.
And we usually have some depth at the offensive line, and we don't. Not only do we not have the talent, we don't have the depth. And I don't even know where it's coming from, man. I mean, we don't have any Sean Andrews. We don't have any of those Petrus guys on the offensive line usually, every year Arkansas will come out with about 3 or 4 guys that go to the league.
Well, Todd, I hate to cut you off, but this phone line is hot. I mean, we got so many people calling in. So call back anytime tomorrow, Friday, and we'd love to have you in.
I appreciate it, man.
All right.
Be blessed.
You're on the hill. Who we got?
What's going on, man? It's Mark Edwards.
Mark Edwards, where you calling from, Mark?
Calling from Little Rock.
Oh, the LRs. The LR seems to be a real hot spot right now. What's on your mind?
Man, just talking about the Hogs, brother.
Now, I want my question to you. Are there any changes that need to be made in this program after year 2 with Coach Morris, or is it a situation, Mark, you keep this staff maybe one more year or clean house?
I never want to be the one to tell a man what to do, but it would be hard to keep that OC, or at least change up his responsibilities.
Right. So you think Chad needs to be more involved in the play calling? Because, I mean, you think about it, Mark. That's what Chad Morris had. He was known to be a real good, innovative offensive mind. Do you think he needs to step in more?
That's what we were supposed to have him for. I mean, you talk about how before he came in, he was this offensive mind that helped Clemson a few years ago with Deshaun Watson. And if he's that guy, then he needs to be that guy.
Right.
He needs to be more involved. I understand being a head coach, he's got a whole lot of other responsibilities, but he needs to delegate more authority and definitely get involved in some of those offensive meetings.
When you analyze this offensive or just the team in general, Mark, which position, in your opinion, is the least SEC ready of all when you break down this program?
You know, I already told you. We had a conversation about this earlier this week, and I told you, linebacker. Listen, man, you gotta have some dogs at linebacker.
Right.
You can't have some nice guys that, you know, clean cut. You gotta have some dogs at linebacker, and you don't have that. I like the D line, but you need to get some dogs at linebacker, man.
Right.
I like your corners. Your corners are even young and hungry, you know. But you got to have some dogs at linebacker, man, that can stop that run. And right now you don't have that, especially on defense. And I think that defensive coordinator, he's an LSU guy. You so used to 5 stars everywhere. You don't have that right now, man.
Good point. You
don't have that.
So now, if you're Chad Morris or Coach John Chavis, the D coordinator, you know, with 4 games, you know, because you already did just count this game as a loss, and you look at some of those freshmen that you haven't played, guys like KJ Jefferson, Amonte Spivey, Hudson Henry, which, you know, a 5-star tight end, I still don't understand how he's not on the football field. Is it about time when you come back to Fayetteville on Saturday night that you move into, you know, your youth movement and try to see what you have for the future by playing a lot of these young guys? Because you're going to get 4 games and still get that red shirt.
Hey, man, listen to me. If you brought them to the dance, you need to let them dance, bro. If those are the guys he recruited, you told us they were good, I get it. I played ball in college. I played a little basketball in college, so I understand as a veteran on the team, you know, you expect some sort of respect, and I got that. The problem is you got a whole new offensive crew, a whole new offensive philosophy. So these guys didn't even follow you in college. These guys don't know you. And if you're going to prove yourself, you need to be proving yourself out there every But since that's not what's happening, if I'm Chad Morris, man, you better go with the girl you brought to the dance. Everybody you recruited, that's who need to be playing.
Right. Now my question.
If I go down, I'm going to go down with the people who I brought.
Absolutely. Now, Mark, if you do make a change at the OC, kind of throw out some names. Who would be some of the guys, you know, that you would try to reach out to and kind of gauge their interest as to where they would be, you know, real receptive to coming and being a part of this rebuild? Because that's what it is here at Arkansas. It's going to be a rebuild that's going to take some time.
Hey, man, listen, you already got the players that you brought in this year. You had a nice little recruiting class. Pretty sure you'll get a nice little recruiting class coming back. I like Rhett Lashley. He's a hometown kid, homegrown. I know he's trying to do his own thing. But this will be a way for him to get back to the SEC.
Good point. So
I like a Rhett Lashley, and he's from that area. You know what I'm saying? And so you got guys like that you can work with that'll help you out. And man, for the most part, go get you a dual threat. Go get you a quarterback that can do more than just sit there and be a sitting duck.
Right.
The lay of the land has changed. What Clemson and Alabama should have taught the rest of the college world is that if you got a quarterback that sits in the pocket and thinks he's going to get time to pass, you better guess again.
Right.
You find you somebody that can get out the way if pressure's coming and make a good pass or at least scoop for about 7, 8 yards.
So when do you give the keys to a guy like maybe a KJ Jefferson, 4-star young man, top quarterback in the state of Mississippi, last year, his senior year, and also John Stephen Jones? When do you really go to maybe a Ben Hicks or Nick Stark and just say, hey, we're going to try these 2 guys? You know, because we've heard all year, Mark, Coach Morris talks about needing that spark. Could these 2 guys maybe be that spark that this offense needed to get kick-started? Because, I mean, when you look around, you got Traylon, you got Trey Knox, Mike Woods. I mean, these are some big wide receivers and a really great tight end in Cheyenne O'Grady. Are these the 2 guys that after this weekend you start really getting film on for the future going forward?
Here's what I like. The receivers are big. You got Coylin Jackson, 6'3". You got Woods. You got Knox. You got Burks. You got some big receivers. You need to get them involved in the game. And not only are they big receivers, but they dogs.
Right.
People that can go to the line of scrimmage, see a smaller cornerback, throw your hand up in the air and say, just throw it up there. Let me go get it.
Right.
So you already got that. You got a guy like KJ Jefferson who, you know, ran that dual threat. He ran that type of offense in high school. And you turn the keys over to him when you see the rest of the schedule. You got Alabama coming up. You got Mississippi State coming up. I mean, you got Western Kentucky coming up. Turn the keys over to him at any point because winning 6 games, my good friend Michael Smith used to say, coaches get bonuses when they go to bowl games.
Right.
If you don't think you to a bowl game, you might as well turn the keys over to somebody that you brought to the dance.
Now, you being from the Little Rock area, and I know you have your hands on the pulse of that fan base. You know, what's the general feeling? Is it time to move on from Chad Morris? The feeling that you get, or is it the feeling that maybe everybody wants to see if he makes some changes and possibly see how year 3 goes before we really start talking about who's going to be the next man in?
So I got a different mindset when it comes to that. I think consistency is the key. So I covered the SEC for 12 years.
Right.
I was there when Nick Saban got there at Alabama because I covered the Hogs back when Darren McFadden used to put 200 in them.
Right.
Every week, every time they played them. So I remember when he came in, consistency is the key, man. Listen, you go out and you start just bringing coaches in, then you start having to pay that tab for the old coach.
Right.
You still got money you pay out on this coach. Then you got to bring this coach in, and this coach got to bring his players in. And then if you're a recruit, because my son is now, well, he's been recruited. He's playing baseball. So I understand the lay of the land when I want to know, is the coach going to be there?
Right.
So I think you keep Chad Morris. And Chad Morris probably just needs to take more of the reins. He's a young coach. He's going to have to learn that in the SEC, man, you're going to have to step up and do your thing.
Right.
If you're going to go down, you better go down with your players doing it your way.
Yeah, because it's definitely not a league where they're going to let you wait. And in particular, especially in the SEC West, they're going to eat you alive.
Exactly.
Well, Mark, we thanks for calling in, man. I know you and I are going to do a lot more stuff, and I want to let everyone know here on the Hill, Mark Edwards and I will be. We got some things in the works where you're going to start hearing a lot of Mark's opinion as far as the Razorback go, and a lot of different topics. But I know you got a show out right now. Could you tell the listeners how they could tune in and catch what you got going?
Man, I got a podcast that we do every week. We got some interviews we did in the can. We got some pretty popular people on. It's a little bit of entertainment. I do a little sports. I got a really good interview I did with Todd Day. You're going to want to hear that.
Anytime Todd speaks, you want to hear
it. Hey, Todd Day was Todd Day. Let me tell you, he didn't owe anything back. That's coming up. You go on YouTube. You can follow it. Like and subscribe on YouTube. It's
right.
Marked Up Show. MarkedUpShow. Marked Up Show. We're on Facebook as well. But, I got a great interview with Todd Day coming up, and he talked about Razorback basketball, his thoughts. And let me tell you something. If you think you got something now, Razorback fans, guess again, because there's some other things. Here's the thing about it. I was just give you a sneak peek about it.
Go ahead.
Todd Day, who had the #1 basketball recruiting class? Penny Hardaway.
Mm-hmm.
Penny Hardaway. Guess who helped him get all of his players? Guess who he coached? He coached 2 of their players.
Right. Great point. Great point.
So you got a guy right here in your backyard that he was the last one of the college, last one the medal of the college guys to play. We just had some guys, some professional guys come off that FIBA World Cup, not World Cup, FIBA basketball.
Right.
They didn't even. The last time a team placed that wasn't the big superstars in the NBA was Todd Day's team back in 1990 when they were young cats.
Right. So
here's a guy that played at that level. You want to get McDonald's All-Americans on your team. Shouldn't you have a coach that played McDonald's All-American?
Absolutely.
McDonald's All-American was round McDonald's All-American. Well, let me tell you, Todd talked about all of that. Oh. You know, Todd Day wouldn't be Todd Day without throwing in a few expletives. So
absolutely.
Well, some great stories. So that's coming up as well.
Well, Mark, man, I'm looking forward to adding you into OTH, and I'll be calling you later tonight so we can continue to, kick all our ideas around, because I know this is going to be real good. So you people, tune in. Mark's going to be joining us, and I'm telling you, it's only going to get a lot hotter. But as always, my man, thanks for the call, and you have a blessed one, my brother.
No problem.
That was Mark Edwards. I'm telling you, Dimitri. Man, this week has been fired up. We're getting a lot of fan interaction. I mean, today, Tuesday, Monday, it's just been really, really on fire, and we really appreciate that. Anything you'd like to say to the callers or about the callers?
I love it. Keep calling, y'all. Y'all let me sit back and listen and be a fan for a little bit. So I love it when we get a lot of crowd participation and fan interaction and calls and just comments. Big shout out to Mr. Roy. He's been a big fan.
Absolutely. And prayers to Mr. Terry Roy. Terry's been in the hospital on a medical procedure. For the guys here, Demetrius and myself, all prayers go up to you, young man, and hope for a speedy recovery.
Yeah, so again, I just want to shout out Mr. Roy. He's a guy that's just been a big supporter of OTH since day one. When we only had one person, and Mr. Roy was that one person on there for every show. So I just thank you. I just want to send a special shout out to you.
Absolutely. Well, we're also going to give a thank you to our callers as we talk with former Arkansas quarterback, great, which I consider one of the top 2 quarterbacks to play here, Greg Thomas. He made a call from Plano, Texas, and told us his 411. And when you get it from former players, guys that sweat and bled on that field, it resonates a little bit more, and we hope we brought that also to you. Todd Washington from Little Rock also called and gave us his 411. And lastly, Mark Edwards of Marked Up. We got his take on things as well. I mean, I'm going to piggyback with what Demetrius said. Continue to keep them coming. We greatly appreciate it. As you know, we're here for you, and it's your show just as much as it is ours. But we won't give a shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting. If you need it, residential, commercial, whatever you need, contact Corey Beck and you won't be disappointed. You've heard me say that quite a bit in our last sponsor and the one I'm real fond of, KDK's Chicken at 989 Razorback Road. Go down and see Keith and Kathy. And you heard me say it a lot. Get your plate of that love, and it's like they say, it's not your mama's. The best chicken and waffles in the South. But until tomorrow, you already know what that is. It's that one show. I'm gonna have something behind me. We do it each and every week, and you don't want to miss it, because it's gonna be yet still a lot of Arkansas Razorback talk. Until tomorrow, it's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one, and let's get it. All right, I gotta get over here. I gotta get over in the muss.
Beats. Beats. Walla Beats.